that children learn about language while they learn through language while they live language. If I taught kindergartners things in isolation about letters, so learning about the language, if they learned it on a worksheet, if they learned it as an isolated skill, they didn't have the retention of that or really the understanding of how words work, how language works. And then learning through language is that, so I would read a book to them about bubbles, and suddenly they're understanding bubbles in a new way. So how children learn through language. And then in Halliday's world, he really talked about live language. And so that when we're in this act of being in the world, really inquiry does that to us, that we completely forget language because we're so focused on the process of knowing. Theoretically, that helped me understand what inquiry helped me do that no other, I would say, really curriculum innovation let me do with kids, is that really simultaneously they were learning about how words work while they were learning through those very words about their world, and then living that language in a way that language wasn't in the forefront, but it was absolutely embedded in everything that they did. They have to know their letters, and then they have to know their sounds, and then they can learn words. And that's really an artificial sequence that really children come to us in young child experiences exploring the world and in play-filled environments, and things haven't come in at them in these little chunks. So they're used to the world being just a place to be explored. And it seems to me like the SWH helps teachers to be able to remember that world of, I get to ask questions, like where do butterflies go when it rains? How do birds know where the worms are? Actual 5-year-old questions. But they ask those questions about the world, and then it's my job as a teacher to make sure they have that chance to be able to explore that world, make claims, back it up with evidence. Okay, now do I want to rethink what I thought I knew in the beginning and ask a new question and go back at it again? So to me, it feels like the SWH came along at an important time when we needed to go back to the question, what does it mean to learn? Working with young children, you learn very quickly that when you talk to them about their writing, they will often say to you, well, when this happens, and they'll use also gesture along with their language, along with what they have on the written page. So I often like to say a child's discourse space is all around that paper because it doesn't just happen on the flat page. In ways, you'll see kids be able to say the drawing that they put on the page with the connected text, with gesturing, with diagrams, all help to see the complexity of their language. And so many times in school, we want to simplify that, when in actuality, multimodality helps them to be able to let you know in so many ways what they're wrestling with. That every piece of writing is developmental moments, that we have this time when we should ask 3 questions about any piece of writing. What does the child already know about language? What is the child inventing about language? Or what is that child, in that state of dissonance where they're really trying to understand how language works? And then the last question is, what can I do as a teacher to help push that child, help that child to continue to think about things? So that helps us to be able to look at that multimodality of language. What does a child already know? What is the child wrestling with, and what can we do to help them? To ask the question also, what is it that we're understanding about their science knowledge? What are they showing us that they know about science? What are they struggling with? What is the piece they're still trying to make sense of? And then what do I do as a teacher to help them to think? So there's the mixture of the writing and the science, and the multimodality of that often helps us to be able to understand where are those gaps and where are those pieces that they're struggling with, that we as teachers, those are our teaching moments, right? In between that just-in-time instruction that we can come in and help them push through, or maybe even cause a little more more questioning, a little more struggle with that, to help them be able to really think about what is it that I know and what do I need to know. What are those moves that we make that help them to be able to wrestle with what they know and what they don't know? The worst thing we can do is give a child an answer, right? Because we keep them from being able to discover that themselves and to be able to think about that. And what is it that happens to us somehow at 18 months in a process of learning and change that makes it easier to go back to old practices than to just push through and figure out, why is this getting difficult for me? Being in that role of teacher as researcher and asking those questions about the English language learners in their classroom, about these bigger ideas of language and what could I be doing in my classroom that will help, different students to be able to access science knowledge who couldn't do that before. To be able to think about, how do I create this negotiation space, which is the word we often use. We negotiate ideas, not people. So that what we're doing here is we're trying to negotiate with each other so that together we can come up with a common understanding. Is this idea what we call symmetric power and trust. And a lot of times we talk about that's understanding that children control their own learning. I can't make anyone learn. So what am I going to do? What things will I put into place in my classroom that will make it optimal for children to be able to wrestle with those ideas that they're having?